Okay, now we're going to look at microeconomics. So last time we were looking at macroeconomics, the overall economy as a whole, like the whole country. Microeconomics, it's more from the point of view of the organization, the company looking outward, not in the company looking below. Here it's more like the company looking up. So, what is a market? Well, a market is, what would you say, maybe a place where buyers and sellers meet. Wouldn't you agree? And they meet and they transact goods and services. So you could have worldwide markets like oil or cotton or energy, or you could have more local markets like the housing market in a specific city or a second-hand cars in a specific country. So it could be worldwide or local. The next thing we should consider are the types of competition. There are different types. The first one will be perfect competition. So we have different types of competition inside any market. So the first one is called perfect. Now perfect, the clue is in the name. It kind of does not exist, unfortunately. It is only a dream. It is a utopia, right? Only a dream, not true. Because a perfect market or perfect competition has the following things: many small-sized companies, small buyers and sellers, no big players. So they cannot influence the market with size. So they're all little players. What else is there in a perfect competition? No barriers to entry. Barriers to entry, we saw that in the external environment part where we were looking at the analysis of an industry in Porter's 5 forces. A barrier to entry is where you cannot enter the market. You need some sort of capital investment or like a certificate. Like if you want to become a taxi driver, you need a taxi license. This is a barrier to entry. Well, in a perfect competition, anybody can be a taxi driver. You don't need a license, right? So it's kind of this idea of a perfect market, very libertarian idea. Also, which is probably the point that makes it the most unreal or utopic, is perfect information. Now, maybe that doesn't speak to you, but you probably heard this if you studied finance, right? Perfect information. Everybody knows everything. about everything. And in the real world, that's simply not true. Sorry, everybody knows everything. About everything. Now, I'm not saying that some people are stupid. I'm just saying that most company information is private, right? So only the people inside the company can access private information. So it's not available for everybody. And that is why people go to jail for insider trading. When you trade stocks on private information that nobody else has, you have an unfair advantage, and therefore you make a huge profit with insider information. So that's why you go to jail. So why do we have this here in a perfect competition theory? Well, if everybody has access to all the information, everybody knows everything, so there's no surprises, and basically the stock market does not move. It's completely flat because everybody is on the same page, so there's no opportunities to make money. It is homogeneous. So this word means everything is the same. Everything looks the same. Tastes the same. Everything is the same size. Every product, every service. If you buy bread from 2 different bakeries, 2 different companies, you get the exact same piece of bread. The same taste, the same quality. So again, that's completely not true in the real world. Everything is different. 2 different bakers will make different bread. That's just how it is. And then the last one is no collusion between buyers and sellers. So collusion meaning alliances, allies. People conspire together to influence the market price. In the real world, one example will be the organization called OPEC, OPEC, which is an international organization between a group of countries that produce oil, especially Middle Eastern countries. And the OPEC is there to influence the price of oil. So in a perfect competition scenario, that does not exist. So now I've laid out all the points. Now it kind of makes sense why I was saying it is not true. It's a utopia. It's only a dream. So therefore, the second point is, let's get closer to reality now with imperfect competition. And there are a few. So I'm going to change colors here. One is called monopolistic competition. And that is not a monopoly. It's going to be another section. Monopolistic is same as first one, many buyers and sellers. Let me do it under here. Many buyers and sellers. Again, same as perfect. But some differences between buyers and sellers, between products. So it is not homogeneous. As I was saying earlier, everything is the same, tastes the same. No, this time everybody is a little bit different. And they do that with, how are they a little bit different? Well, with branding. So things like Coca-Cola, which is a perfect example of successful branding. So that's how they achieve differentiation, some differences. There is only very few barriers to entry. Lots of advertising. All the companies do lots of advertising. So actually, when I list all of them, you will see that monopolistic competition is probably the best one you can have in a country in the real world. Because perfect competition just does not exist. It can never exist, right? You can't have perfect information. That's just never going to happen. Companies keep some information private, and not everybody can learn everything about everything. So in perfect competition, the one you want the most is probably monopolistic competition. Now let's look at the ones that you don't want. So we have a monopoly. Oops. So everybody knows the board game Monopoly, right? But have you ever considered where did that word come from? Well, a monopoly is where the market only has one product. And I want you to think about Google. You could say Google is a monopoly because, yes, there is other search engines in the world. You have Bing from Microsoft, but who uses Bing? Everybody uses Google. So that's why we say one product or one company, right? With their single product. They own the entire market. They have 100% market share or 99.99% market share. They own the market. That's a monopoly. Only one player. And that's not good because the problem is, the problem with a monopoly is they control the price. They can make it $1 or $1 million. They decide. They choose. Because why? They have the market. They own the market. They have it all. So they control that market. There is another one, which is called an oligopoly. And you may have heard of in the news of Russian oligarchs. Right? That word oligarchs comes from that first word, oligopoly. So oligopoly is same as a monopoly, right? But it's not just one company. You have a very small group of individuals. So in Russia, you have these oligarchs, which are the billionaires, right? It's basically a very small group that own the whole market. And they just share it between each other.